What if I told you that most people waste countless hours letting anger and frustration control their lives? You snap at a colleague, fume over a comment online, or stew silently about things you can't change. And it drains you, slowly, silently, every day. Yet, there's a way to break this cycle. Stoic philosophers understood that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca knew that true strength comes from mastering your reactions, not trying to control the world. Today, I'm going to show you 7 actionable practices to build unshakable calm. Pause before reacting, and never again let anyone or anything steal your peace. By the end of this video, you'll have tools to reclaim your inner power, respond with wisdom, and turn life's triggers into opportunities for growth. Stay with me, because this could change everything about how you experience your day. 1. Recognize the root of your emotions. Have you ever felt a sudden surge of anger over something that, looking back, hardly mattered? A co-worker interrupts you, a friend makes a careless comment, or a stranger cuts you off in traffic, and before you know it, your chest tightens, your mind races, and your emotions take control. This is a common trap. Most people react first and reflect later, letting frustration and resentment drain their energy. But here's the hard truth. It's rarely the event itself that triggers your anger. It's your judgment about the event. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Every perceived slight, every inconvenience is neutral. It's the story you attach to it that sparks the fire. Consider a simple scenario. A colleague interrupts you in a meeting. Instantly, irritation rises. Your ego demands acknowledgement, society encourages retaliation, and your mind rehearses sharp responses. The Stoics teach a different approach. Marcus Aurelius observed that most offenses are projections of others' insecurities, not attacks on you. What seems like a personal slight often has nothing to do with your worth. Recognizing this distinction between reality and interpretation is the first step toward freedom. Ask yourself, am I reacting to the event itself or to my story about it? That single mental shift can neutralize the emotional charge. The interruption is just that, an interruption. It does not define your competence, and it does not demand an immediate reaction. You can respond with clarity instead of reflex, with reason instead of rage. Another example. Scrolling through social media, you read a comment that feels unfair. Your immediate impulse might be indignation, judgment, or frustration. Stop, reflect, observe the root, your attachment to how things should be, your own expectations, and your judgments. Seneca wisely wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of the suffering we experience is self-created, not imposed by external events. Understanding this doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means seeing them clearly so they no longer control you. Think of this practice as learning to read the currents of your own mind. Every trigger, every irritation, every perceived offense becomes an opportunity to observe, understand, and consciously choose your response. Awareness like this lays the foundation for all other Stoic strategies. Pausing before reacting, building calm like a muscle, reframing situations, and strengthening internal discipline. Once you identify that your anger originates in your own judgments, you reclaim your freedom. You are no longer a passenger to your emotions. You are the pilot. Actionable step. Today, notice one moment when irritation arises. Ask yourself, am I upset at the event itself or at my interpretation? Write down your answer and observe how the intensity of your emotion changes when you separate fact from story. Practice this daily. External triggers may remain, but your response will no longer be automatic. Affirmation. I am not controlled by what others do or say. I choose my response with clarity and calm. 2. Pause before you react. It changes everything. Imagine this. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your first instinct is to honk, yell, or feel that rush of irritation climb your chest. Or perhaps a colleague makes a careless remark during a meeting, and you feel that immediate surge of defensiveness. Most people react instantly, letting emotions dictate behavior. But what if you could stop that chain reaction before it even begins? This is the power of the pause, a small, deliberate moment that can completely change how you respond to life's triggers. Stoic philosophers understood this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." By creating a conscious pause, you separate stimulus from response. Instead of being swept away by your first emotional surge, you create space to think, observe, and choose. This simple act transforms reactive energy into deliberate action. Here's how it works in practice. The next time irritation arises, take 3 to 5 deep breaths before saying a word or moving. Notice your body, tight shoulders, quickened heartbeat, tense jaw. Recognize these physical cues as signals, not commands. Name the emotion, "I am feeling anger," or "I feel frustration rising." By labeling it, you step out of autopilot and reclaim control. The pause is not weakness, it is strength in disguise. It demonstrates mastery over your impulses rather than submission to them. Consider a real-world example. During a team meeting, someone critiques your project in a way that feels unfair. Instead of immediately defending yourself or snapping, you pause, you breathe, you allow the initial spike of irritation to settle. Then, you can respond with calm reasoning. "Thank you for your feedback. I will consider these points." That one pause prevents unnecessary conflict, maintains your professionalism, and protects your inner peace. The pause also acts as a bridge to insight. Once the immediate emotional wave subsides, you can analyze the situation with clarity. Why did this trigger occur? Is the judgment accurate? Could there be another perspective? This reflection not only diminishes the intensity of your reaction, but also trains your mind to respond with discernment over time. It is a micro-practice of Stoic discipline, turning daily challenges into exercises in resilience. Daily repetition strengthens this skill. Every moment, you intentionally pause before reacting. You are building a mental muscle, a calm, resilient response that becomes habitual. Over time, triggers that once provoked automatic anger or frustration lose their power. You remain composed, deliberate, and grounded even in challenging situations. Actionable step. The next time irritation arises, intentionally pause for 5 seconds before reacting. Take a deep breath, observe your feelings, and choose your response consciously. Record your experience in a brief journal entry. What triggered you, how long you paused, and the outcome of your response. Practice this consistently. Affirmation. I create space before I respond. My actions come from clarity, not impulse. 3. Build calm. Like a muscle, through daily practice. Calmness is not a trait you are born with. It is a skill, a mental muscle that must be exercised consistently. Just as an athlete strengthens their body through repeated workouts, your inner calm grows stronger through deliberate daily practice. The Stoics knew this principle well. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on maintaining composure amid chaos, emphasizing that resilience is cultivated, not inherited. Each small, intentional moment of stillness adds up, gradually rewiring your mind to respond with clarity rather than impulse. Think about the way we respond to stress in everyday life. A harsh comment from a friend, a tight deadline at work, or a minor inconvenience on your commute can trigger immediate irritation. Most people react automatically, letting tension accumulate, little by little, day after day. But by training your mind like a muscle, you can build a buffer between stimulus and reaction. This buffer allows you to respond deliberately, to choose calm over chaos. Practical daily exercises are key. Start small. Dedicate 5 minutes each morning to a practice of quiet observation. Sit in a chair, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the subtle sensations in your body. If your mind wanders, gently return your focus to the present. This micro-practice strengthens your ability to remain composed when life inevitably tests you. Another effective exercise is journaling. Each day, note moments when you felt tension, irritation, or frustration. Reflect on what triggered these emotions, how your body reacted, and how you might respond differently next time. By consistently observing and recording, you build self-awareness, a cornerstone of Stoic practice. Awareness allows you to identify patterns, recognize habitual triggers, and intervene before negative emotions escalate. Visualization is also a powerful tool. Imagine yourself facing challenging situations, an angry client, a traffic jam, a miscommunication at work, and picture yourself responding with calm and measured action. Visual rehearsal reinforces the mental pathways that produce composure. Over time, your brain begins to default to calm responses, even under pressure. Remember, consistency matters more than duration. Even a few minutes a day compounds. Like exercising a muscle, missing one day doesn't break your progress, but skipping weeks weakens it. Build small, deliberate habits that reinforce calmness. Incorporate pauses throughout your day, breathe intentionally before responding, and remind yourself, every moment of composure strengthens your inner resilience. Real-life application. During a heated discussion, you feel the familiar surge of tension. Instead of reacting instantly, you take a brief pause, recall your daily practice of calm observation, and respond with measured words. The discussion doesn't escalate. You feel in control, centered, and unshaken. Over time, these small victories accumulate, and maintaining calm becomes almost automatic, a natural response to life's challenges. Actionable step. Dedicate 5 minutes every morning to a calmness exercise, breathing, journaling, or visualization. Track your progress and note improvements in your emotional responses throughout the day. Treat each challenge as an opportunity to exercise your calm muscle. Affirmation. I train my mind daily. Calmness is my strength, and I respond with clarity in every situation. 4. Reframe your energy. Life constantly tests our patience. Someone cuts in line, a friend cancels plans, or a co-worker criticizes your work. The initial instinct is to feel wronged, angry, or frustrated. But Stoicism teaches that it's not the event itself, but our interpretation of it that creates suffering. Reframing your energy means choosing how you interpret these triggers and redirecting your emotional response into something constructive. Imagine this. A colleague makes a cutting remark in a meeting. Most people will react defensively, escalating tension and leaving the room with lingering resentment. Instead, you pause. You remind yourself, this is not a personal attack. It reflects their perspective, not my value. By reframing, you shift from reaction to observation. The energy that would have fueled anger now becomes clarity, focus, and measured action. The Stoics frequently emphasized this principle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By consciously choosing to reframe, you reclaim control over your emotions and preserve your inner peace. Reframing is a mental skill that transforms potential chaos into an opportunity for growth. Practical application begins with awareness. Notice when frustration arises and ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this situation? Is it accurate, or is it influenced by assumptions, ego, or fear? Often, you'll discover that your perception magnifies the problem. Reframing requires replacing these exaggerated narratives with a grounded perspective. For example, traffic may feel infuriating, but seeing it as an unavoidable circumstance instead of a personal insult drastically reduces emotional intensity. Reframing also allows you to convert negative energy into purposeful action. If a project fails or a conversation goes poorly, instead of dwelling on anger, you can channel energy into reflection, problem solving, or preparation for the next challenge. The Stoics called this turning obstacles into the way. The same energy that could trigger frustration now becomes a source of resilience. Visualization enhances this process. Picture yourself in a triggering situation, but mentally step back, observing your emotions without judgment. Ask, is my energy serving me, or is it being wasted on reaction? Then consciously redirect it toward focus, patience, or constructive action. Over time, this practice trains your mind to default to reframing, reducing reactive behavior naturally. Real-life application. During a heated team discussion, you feel irritation rising. Instead of lashing out or withdrawing, you pause, acknowledge your feelings, and reframe the situation. This feedback is about their expectations, not my worth. I can use it to improve. The tension dissolves, and you respond with composure and clarity. Actionable step. Next time irritation or anger arises, consciously reframe the situation. Ask yourself, am I reacting to the event or my perception of it? How can I redirect this energy into clarity or action? Record the outcome in a journal to reinforce the habit. Daily repetition strengthens your ability to reframe automatically. Affirmation. I transform reactive energy into focus and clarity. I choose perspective over frustration. 5. Control your expectations and release what you cannot change. One of the most common sources of anger and frustration is unmet expectations. You expect a friend to behave a certain way, a colleague to respect your time or life itself, to follow a fair script. When reality falls short, irritation rises. The Stoics teach that expectations are internal constructs, and suffering arises when we attach ourselves to outcomes beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Consider a scenario. You submit a proposal at work, expecting praise or acknowledgement. Instead, it's met with indifference or critique. The initial reaction is resentment or self-doubt. But if you control your expectations, you recognize that external validation is outside your sphere of influence. The work is done. The outcome belongs to the world, not your peace of mind. By releasing attachment to the result, anger and frustration lose their grip. This principle applies to daily life as well. Traffic jams, delayed emails, or last-minute cancellations can all trigger irritation. Instead of reacting automatically, remind yourself, this is outside my control. I cannot force the world to match my expectations. By consciously separating what you can influence from what you cannot, you conserve emotional energy and maintain composure. Stoics also emphasize focusing on intentions over outcomes. Your responsibility is to act virtuously and with reason. The result is often beyond your control. Epictetus stated, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." Shift your attention to effort, diligence, and integrity, rather than the approval, acknowledgement, or reactions of others. Doing so strengthens internal resilience. Practical application. When irritation or disappointment arises, pause and identify. Which part of this situation is within my control, which is not? Take full responsibility for the first and release attachment to the second. For instance, you cannot make someone appreciate your work, but you can review, improve, and present it thoughtfully. The shift from frustration to agency is subtle but profound. Visualization can reinforce this mindset. Imagine a challenging situation and mentally separate elements within your control from those outside it. Observe how your emotional intensity decreases as you accept what cannot be changed. Over time, this practice rewires your mind to default to clarity and composure, reducing reactive patterns. Daily micro-practice. Write down one situation each day where your expectations created tension. Note what was within your control and what wasn't. Reflect on how releasing the uncontrollable would have changed your reaction. Small, consistent steps cultivate a stronger, calmer mind. Affirmation. I focus on what I can control and release the rest. My peace does not depend on the world, only on my mind. 6. Internal discipline. Strengthen your emotional control. Emotional mastery does not happen by accident. It is forged through deliberate, consistent practice, like sharpening a blade over time. The Stoics believed that self-discipline is the cornerstone of freedom. Freedom from being ruled by impulses, reactions, and the opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every moment you train your mind, you reclaim authority over your emotional life. Consider this. Someone cuts in line at the coffee shop. Your first impulse might be irritation or indignation. Most people react immediately, huffing, muttering, or sending a sharp glance. But internal discipline allows you to pause, assess, and respond deliberately. You notice the irritation, recognize it as an internal signal rather than a command, and consciously choose a calm response. This micro-moment of control is the foundation for larger victories over anger and frustration. Stoic discipline relies on daily micro-practices. One simple exercise is journaling. Each evening, reflect on moments when your emotions surged. Ask yourself, what triggered this? How did I respond? How could I respond with composure next time? By documenting and analyzing your emotional reactions, you build self-awareness and strengthen the neural pathways for calm, intentional responses. Over time, this makes composure a default state rather than a conscious effort. Another powerful method is the implementation intention. Plan in advance how you will respond to predictable triggers. For example, if a colleague often interrupts you, decide beforehand, I will pause, take a breath, and respond with a calm question. When the moment arises, your brain automatically leans on the rehearsed response, reducing the chance of reactive anger. Visualization also reinforces discipline. Mentally rehearse situations that usually trigger irritation. Picture yourself pausing, breathing, and responding with clarity and patience. Imagine the tension dissipating, the conversation staying productive, and your inner state remaining steady. Repeated practice strengthens this skill, making calmness almost reflexive. Discipline also means holding yourself accountable. When anger or frustration arises, avoid blaming external events. Instead, recognize that your response is within your control. Epictetus advised, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Each small moment of restraint, reflection, and deliberate action compounds into greater resilience and emotional stability. Real-life application. During a heated team discussion, your ideas are challenged aggressively. You feel the spike of tension. Instead of snapping or withdrawing, you draw on your internal discipline. Pause, observe, breathe, and respond with a clear, measured point. The situation remains productive, and your inner state remains unshaken. With repeated practice, this becomes your natural response in any stressful scenario. Actionable step. Choose one predictable daily situation that triggers irritation. Pre-plan your response using the pause, observe, deliberate, act sequence. Record your progress in a journal. Repeat this daily to strengthen your emotional discipline. Affirmation. I am the master of my emotions. My mind remains steady, calm, and deliberate in every situation. 7. Daily practice. Make calm and clarity. Over your emotions is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily exercise. Stoic philosophers understood that calmness and clarity must be trained consistently until they become second nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Every day offers countless opportunities to practice restraint, observation, and deliberate action. The key is repetition, small intentional steps that compound over time into automatic composure. Start with simple, practical exercises. Set aside a few minutes each morning for reflection. Focus on your breath. Notice your thoughts without judgment and mentally rehearse challenges you might face during the day. Visualize yourself encountering frustrating situations and responding with calm and clarity. These short moments of preparation prime your mind to react deliberately, rather than impulsively. Over time, this strengthens neural pathways, making composed responses your default mode. Another daily strategy is the micro-practice in real time. Every time irritation or frustration arises, pause immediately. Observe your emotional reaction. Ask, is this within my control or not? Take a slow breath, then choose your response consciously. Even small victories, responding with calm instead of snapping at a minor inconvenience, reinforce the habit. Each repetition makes the next moment of composure easier and more automatic. Journaling is also essential. Each evening, note moments when you maintained clarity, even under provocation. Reflect on what worked and what didn't. This practice not only builds awareness, but also reinforces the Stoic principle that your power lies in your response, not in controlling external events. Over weeks, your mind begins to internalize these lessons, and automatic calm becomes ingrained. Consider real-world application. A coworker challenges your proposal in a way that could trigger irritation. Instead of reacting instantly, you pause, observe, and respond with reasoned calm. The tension in the room decreases, the discussion remains productive, and your inner state stays steady. Repeat this practice daily, and soon your composure is no longer a conscious effort. It is instinctive. Stoicism also emphasizes consistency over perfection. Some days will test your limits, and moments of frustration will occur. The goal is not to be flawless, but to practice deliberately and persistently. Each small action, each deliberate pause, compounds into a resilient mental habit. Over time, you will find that situations that once provoked anger or anxiety no longer have the same effect. Calm and clarity become your default, even under pressure. Actionable step. Commit to one daily exercise that reinforces calmness, morning reflection, mental rehearsal, real-time pause, or journaling. Track your progress and note improvements in your responses. Make this practice consistent, and over time, calm and clarity will become automatic. Affirmation. I practice daily. Calm and clarity are my default. I respond with wisdom, not impulse. We've walked through 7 powerful practices to take back control over your emotions. Recognizing the root of your anger, pausing before you react, building calm like a muscle, reframing your energy, controlling expectations, strengthening internal discipline, and making calmness automatic through daily practice. Each one is a tool, a way to reclaim your inner power and prevent external circumstances from hijacking your peace. The Stoics remind us that life is full of unpredictability, but our response is always within our control. What you feel is shaped not by the events themselves, but by your judgment and choices. Now it's up to you to take action. Knowledge alone won't transform your life. Consistency and daily practice will. Start small. Notice your triggers. Pause, breathe, reflect, and respond intentionally. Use journaling to track progress or dedicate a few minutes each morning to visualization and mental rehearsal. These daily exercises, though small, compound into resilience over time. Just as muscles grow stronger with repeated effort, your ability to remain calm, composed, and clear in the face of life's challenges strengthens with practice. Remember, mastery isn't about perfection, it's about consistency, awareness, and deliberate choice. Some days will test you, and moments of frustration will arise. That's natural. The difference is that now you have a framework to respond with wisdom rather than impulse. Each pause, each reflection, each reframed thought builds a stronger, more resilient mind. Thank you for staying through this journey. If you found these insights valuable, like this video, share it with someone who could benefit, and leave a comment about which practice you're committing to today. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to continue developing your inner power with daily Stoic guidance. Affirmation to close. I choose clarity over chaos. I practice daily, and my calm is unshakable. I respond with wisdom, not impulse.